Let's see where we at. What are we doing? I don't know what we're doing. I have no idea what's going on. What is my name? I don't even know that. Bum, bum, bum. Oh, let's get some notifications out. Let's send out a Twitter tweet. I like those. You can find me at Carrington TV on Twitter. Let's get out the let's send out the Xbox notification. Hopefully the app has not frozen. And we'll close that. You get some notifications out via Discord. Oh, we got a host from Helga. Very nice, very nice. It's always very, very kind and very kind with those. What are we doing today, you might be asking? Well, we're gonna do some book reading. And that's what we do all the time here. Oh, yes. I was gonna post that, Chris Alberti, but you beat me to it. Where is meme chat? Promote your stuff. There we go. Let's do some of that. Do Dev Gamer's channel. That's kind of and the Angel Squad. There we go. Ember Support Community. There we go. Arcanauts. Let's see, we can still do it here. Yes. Yes, I can. Stream avatars. Just double checking I got the right, whoa. Ba-dum-bum-bum. Where's the going live? Your live streams. Excuse me. Wow. Boy, that's much better than it sounds. Much better than it sounds. Flaming Lead's here. Was that Flaming Lead or Flaming Leader? I'm not sure what that 3R on the end means. There we go. We got a. We're going to be talking about this link in a minute. There, we've just had a mid-March update from Mixer. Looking forward to that. It's going to be pretty fun. It's going to be pretty fun. Bow 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 bow. Bada bum 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 bum. Okay, so the restream bot is working in that way. Is it working the other way? I can't tell. Frank Bit coming on in with a host. Thank you, sir. Thank you kindly. Bum 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 bum. Yeah. I think I've got everything. Yeah, I think I've got everything covered. I did all my social media stuff that I said I was gonna do. That's something. We are going out on Restream today. Restream, so hello to our Twitch friends and our YouTube friends. I really don't get a lot of traffic over there. But I was just thinking to myself, there's probably going to be, with all these school closings and work from home things going on, there's, I don't know, maybe some people over on those platforms need a little Need a little love too. More than welcome to come join us here on Mixer. But yeah, I'll be streaming periodically over to Twitch and to YouTube. And we're about to dive on in. Wow, there's not a lot of people on this morning. Not a lot of people around this morning. How you all doing? How you all doing? We've got a couple of people here on Mixer. Well, actually, I think some of them might be left over from last night. They might be fast asleep and maybe being woken up by my voice right now. Okay, I'm going to finish this thing here. Yeah. But yeah, we had a good time last night. A lot of Halo last night. A lot of Halo 5, and then ended with a bit of Gears 5 too. I don't know what we're doing tonight. But this morning, what we are doing is reading books, because that's what we do here on Mixer in the mornings, Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. Pacific, which is like now. 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. And let's see, oh, my FTL's not working. That's probably because I'm actually going through Restream tonight. Actually, the rest of the week I'm going to try and go through Restream. Just to, I know, get a little wider, with what we're doing here. Okay, so yeah, but yeah, like I said, my main stream over here on Mixer, mixer.com/CarringtonTV, and we read about 10 hours of books every week. But it's 40 plus hours every month. So yeah, if you enjoy book narration and social chit-chat mixed in with that, come join us on Mixer. Yeah, mixer.com/CarringtonTV. So yeah, let's see, Spooky Lou came by with the host. Hey man, what's up with the Spooky Lou? Spooky Lou and Co. Let's see, we have... oh yeah, so Mixer, they just announced a bunch, they put out their blog today, talking about their new features. Their new features, which are being, I guess they're being rolled out today. And apparently it's supposed to be live right now. I've actually refreshed my appropriate home pages on these, and I'm still getting the old look. So I guess maybe I'd have to clear the cache in my browser or something for it to take effect. Hey, good morning, OG Rainbow. How you doing? Good morning. We're just getting started. We'll be getting into our book in just a minute. Just for the next couple of minutes, so we're just going to quickly go through the updates that are happening today on Mixer. These ones right here. You can read about it right there at that link, but we're going to talk about it here. So there's a bunch of changes. This is on their public blog. This is on their public blog, which is how I know that it's safe to talk about it. So there's always so much confusion about, oh, can we talk about this yet or not? And yeah, I mean, like the safest way to do it is okay. As soon as Mixer talks about it publicly, we can we can as well. Okay, so here we go. The new Mixer homepage. It does, yeah. So the layout's going to be a lot different. There's still going to be 5 featured streamers on it. The layout's going to be a bit different now, though. Right now you have like 1 in the middle and 2 off to each side. Now they've made the one main one much bigger. 4 of them are going to be underneath that, and it's no longer it's no longer programmed in by hand. It was a very cumbersome way of doing it. So now there still will be featured like programming stuff for special events and the like, but for the most part now it is going to be based on channels that you like, channels that you watch, things related to what you watch, using so it's going to be showing you things that it thinks you're going to be likely to like anyway. So that's going to be great for a lot of streamers there looking for maybe a little more discoverability, and it's going to put hopefully some good content in front of you when you load up on that. Below that, yeah, the top category and partner spotlight. And those rows, it says, are a mix of AI-powered personalized recommendations and editorially programmed content. Like for instance, there's a I think they had a Women's History Month. I think when I looked at it just a second ago, Partner Spotlight, following up and coming, or maybe that was on the Xbox One. Maybe because the layout changed on that to match that as well. Auto hosting for everyone. Oh yeah, because so for the past month, they've been like slowly growing the amount of people who have access to Mix's new auto host function. So today they're rolling it out to everyone, it looks like. So if you have favorite streamers that you would like to basically auto host whenever you are not streaming yourself, if you can make a list of your favorites that you would like to share with your friends, so when people come by your channel just to see what you're up to, they could be like, oh, okay, they're not here, but these are the channels they like. Okay, and yeah, so that's going to be pretty exciting. I hope I make a few lists on that. Hint, hint. And you can set it to like randomly change. It's built into Mixer now, which is nice. Yeah. Okay, we'll get into the book club in just a second there, OG Rainbow. We're getting there. Also, emotes are now bigger. Actually, let me test what do our regular emotes look like. So these ones here are 24 by 24. Let's just take a little look at that. 24 by now they should be well actually that's probably going to stay at 24 by 24, but so those have been enlarged to 28 by 28, and and it says okay, and there's a whole set of new global emotes, like the emojis usable by anyone, which are being updated, and some of those are being updated today and over the next couple of weeks as well. Apparently there's ad breaks. Where is it? By news to me. All right. Apparently ad break in beta is a thing. Apparently I can trigger an ad break. I probably wouldn't want to do that. Where would I do that? Don't know. I'm just looking in my looking on my thing here. I don't even know what it's under. Where it at? I don't know. Auto hosting past streams, maybe it's a broadcast? I don't know. Well, I don't see anything obvious like trigger ad break. I don't know. We'll find that someday. I don't anticipate using that a lot, but because I think it's gonna have ads anyway, and unless you have Mixer Pro. The Xbox, that was the other thing too. Yeah, so it looks like they're rolling out like more adverts in general, so that will make like channel subscribe. If you channel subscriptions or Mixer Pro, both of those would be handy ways to not have to sit through those ads. I've seen a couple of those, I see them sometimes on my tablet, which I use to monitor the stream with, and they're like 15 seconds, I think. They're pretty short anyway. But, Xbox viewing improvements. What does it say? They're building April. So they have again with the April Xbox One system update, which should be rolling out in a week or two, I guess, because it's on the insider ring right now. You'll see emojis. They're fixing those. Those have been not showing up. Actually, they show up as text right now. So it looks like they've fixed the pictures on those. And subscriber badging. Nice. So if you're a subscriber, you'll now have your little badge showing up. Nice. Ember messages getting improved on the Xbox One thing there, and also gift subs will be coming to the Xbox One as well. More badging stuff and UI improvements and clip creation improvements. Clip creation is now available for more viewers. Oh, okay, all right. For more viewers of Mixer partners and verified channels in the Mixer app on iOS and Android. All right. Okay, well, okay. So there's a bunch of cool updates in there. Like I said, I've refreshed my page a couple of times and haven't seen them. So I guess it's going to be one of those things where you have to clear the cache or something like that for to be able to see it, or something like that. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. But in the meantime, we should probably get on with it. Probably get on with it. Where are we at? I don't know. Just I'm looking at a little Twitch window here. I can't. Where does it say? It doesn't. I don't. Maybe it doesn't say because there's none. I don't know. All right. But here we go. The book that we are reading is this one here, Righto Jeeves. It's very dry British comedy about he's like a very seems like a very brainless wealthy British aristocrat and his butler. Yeah, so it's very light, but also kind of it's pretty funny as well. But we made it into chapter 7 yesterday. We should move on in here, and see what's going on. Let's see. We got to as far. I'm just thinking about a quick little recap of where we are. I think my Kindle just froze. It's not good. Oh, there it is. Okay. Oh yeah. So Aunt Dahlia is insisting that Wooster come down to their little town to give some presentation, handing out medals or the like, which Wooster does not want to do, and his love-struck friend, I forgot his name. Gussie, who had the misfortune of dressing up as Mephistopheles and then being locked out of his house without a key and no money. His fiance. Well, it's not fiance yet. He's just madly in love with her. But he's going to be spending the weekend there as well. I guess that's where we're at. It'll all make sense somehow. Good morning, Lizard King. What's shaking? Smooth Criminal Yen says. I don't know. Don't know the answer to that question. All right, but there we go. But there's a bunch of there are a bunch of cool things in that update anyway. I think a lot of people are going to be very happy with the larger size emotes at any rate. Alrighty. Oh, Lizard King hooking us up with a host. Why, thank you. Thank you kindly. Let's move on in. It's going to be a fun day. I think. I meditated pretty freely as I drove down to Brinkley in the old two-seater that afternoon. The news of this rift or rupture of Angela's and Tuppy's had disturbed me greatly. The projected match, you see, was one on which I had always looked with kindly approval. Too often, when a chap of your acquaintance is planning to marry a girl you know, you find yourself knitting the brow a bit and chewing the lower lip dubiously, feeling that he or she or both should be warned while there is still time. But I have never felt anything of this nature about Tuppy and Angela. Tuppy, when not making an ass of himself, is a soundish sort of egg. So is Angela a soundish sort of egg. And as far as being in love was concerned, it had always seemed to me that you wouldn't have been far out in describing them as two hearts that beat as one. True, they had their little tiffs, notably on the occasion when Tuppy, with what he said was fearless honesty, and I considered thorough goofiness, had told Angela that her new hat made her look like a Pekingese. But in every romance you have to budget for the occasional dust-up, and after that incident I had supposed that he had learned his lesson, and that from then on life would be one grand, sweet song. And now this wholly unforeseen severing of diplomatic relations had popped up through a trap. I gave the thing the cream of the Wooster brain all the way down, but it continued to beat me what could have caused the outbreak of hostilities, and I bunged my foot sedulously on the accelerator in order to get to Aunt Dahlia with the greatest possible speed, and learn the inside history straight from the horse's mouth. And what with all 6 cylinders hitting nicely, I made good time, and found myself closeted with a relative shortly before the hour of the evening cocktail. She seemed glad to see me. In fact, she actually said she was glad to see me. A statement no other aunt on the list would have committed herself to, the customary reaction of these near and dear ones to the spectacle of Bertram arriving for a visit being a sort of sick horror. "Decent of you to rally round, Bertie," she said. "My place was by your side, Aunt Dahlia," I responded. I could see at a G that the unfortunate affair had got in amongst her in no uncertain manner. Her usually cheerful map was clouded, and the genial smile conspic by its A. I pressed her hand sympathetically to indicate that my heart bled for her. "Bad show, this, my dear old flesh and blood," I said. "I'm afraid you've been having a sticky time. You must be worried." What is that? I forgot that I had the audio on that there. I only heard it with the earphones right today. How you doing, man? That's lightning. I was just like, hang on, I don't remember adding that sound effect. It was, yeah. Man. Okay. I hope your Tuesday's starting off well there, Lightning. Yeah. I think right about now everyone's got a little extra spare time on their hands to be, I don't know, maybe watching streams or playing Minecraft or the like. Man. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, we're just getting warmed up with a bit of book club here. Anyway, time to chillax and relax. There we go. That's it. But you got all your links there. Your YouTube link. You're still uploading weekly videos there, Lightning, right? Yeah. Excuse me. Good gracious. Okay, that was a little bit of coffee going down the wrong way. Good Lord. Alrighty. Okay. It's okay. It's not fatal. I think we'll live. I think we will live. Alright. Let's get back to our book. No. Bad show this, my old flesh and blood, I said. I'm afraid you've been having a sticky time. You must be worried. She snorted emotionally. She looked like an aunt who was just bitten into a bad oyster. Worried is right. I haven't had a peaceful moment since I got back from Cairns, ever since I put my foot across this blasted threshold, said Aunt Dahlia, returning for the nonce to the hearty argot of the hunting field. Everything's been at 6s and 7s. First there was that mix-up about the prize-giving. She paused at this point and gave me a look. I had been meaning to speak freely to you about your behavior in that matter, Bertie, she said. I had some good things all stored up, but as you have rallied round like this, I suppose I shall have to let you off. And anyway, it's probably all for the best that you evaded your obligations in that sickeningly craven way. I have an idea that this spink bottle of yours is going to be good, if only he can keep off Newts. Has he been talking about Newts? He has, fixing me with a glittering eye like the ancient mariner. But if that was the worst I had to bear, I wouldn't mind. What I'm worrying about is what Tom says when he starts talking. Uncle Tom. I wish there was something else you could call him except Uncle Tom, said Aunt Dahlia a little testily. Every time you do it, I expect to see him turn black and start to playing the banjo. Good Lord! Yes, Uncle Tom, if you must have it. I shall have to tell him soon about losing all that money at baccarat, and when I do, he'll go up like a rocket. Still, no doubt Time, the great healer... Time, the great healer, be blowed. I've got to get a cheque for £500 out of him for milady's boudoir by August the 3rd at the latest. I was concerned. Apart from a nephew's natural instinct and an aunt's refined weekly paper, I had always had a soft spot in my heart for milady's boudoir, ever since I contributed that article to it on what the well-dressed man is wearing. Sentimental, possibly, but we all journalists do have these feelings. Is the boudoir on the rocks? It will be if Tom doesn't cough up. It needs help till it has turned the corner. But wasn't it turning the corner 2 years ago? It was, and it's still at it. Until you've run a weekly paper for women, you don't know what corners are. Oh, what's up? What is up? A little front page action somewhere. What's happening with that? How did that happen? Good morning, Mixer. I like that, yes I do. It's up on a little side panel, but I'll take that. I'll take whatever I can get. Alrighty. But wasn't it turning the corner 2 years ago? It was, and it's still at it. Till you've run a weekly paper for women, you don't know what corners are. And you think the chances of getting into my uncle by marriage's ribs are slight? I'll tell you, Bertie, up till now, when those subsidies were required, I have always been able to come to Tom in the gay, confident spirit of an only child touching an indulgent father for chocolate cream. But he's just had a demand from the income tax people for an additional £58, 1 3/5, and it's all he's been talking about since I got back. It's been ruin, and all he's been talking about since I got back has been ruin, and the sinister trend of socialistic legislation, and what will become of us all. I could readily believe it. This Tom has a peculiarity I've noticed in other very oofy men. Nick him for the paltriest sum, and he lets out a squawk you can hear at Land's End. He has the stuff in gobs, but he hates giving it up. If it wasn't for Anatole's cooking, I doubt if he would bother to carry on. Thank God for Anatole, I say. I bowed my head reverently. Good old Anatole, I said. Amen, said Aunt Dahlia. Then the look of holy ecstasy, which is always the result of letting the mind dwell, however briefly, on Anatole's cooking, died out of her face. But don't let me wander from the subject, she resumed. I was telling you of the way Hell's foundations have been quivering since I got home. First the prize-giving, then Tom, and now, on top of everything else, this infernal quarrel between Angela and young Glossop. I nodded gravely. I was frightfully sorry to hear of that. Terrible shock. What was the row about? Sharks. Eh? Sharks. Or rather, one individual shark. The brute that went for the poor child when she was aquaplaning at Cannes. You remember Angela's shark? Oh, certainly I remembered Angela's shark. A man of sensibility does not forget about a cousin nearly being chewed by monsters of the deep. The episode was still green in my memory. In a nutshell, what had occurred was this. You know how you aquaplane? A motorboat nips on ahead, trailing a rope. You stand on a board, holding the rope, and the boat tows you along, and every now and then you lose your grip on the rope and plunge into the sea and have to swim to your board again. A silly process, it's always seemed to me, though many find it diverting. Well, on the occasion referred to, Angela had just regained her board after taking a toss when a great beastly shark came along and cannoned into it, flinging her into the salty once more. It took her quite a bit of time to get on again and make the motorboat chap realize what was up and haul her to safety. and during that interval you can readily picture her embarrassment. According to Angela, the finny denizen kept snapping at her ankles virtually without cessation, so that by the time help arrived she was feeling more like a salted almond at a public dinner than anything human. Very shaken the poor child had been, I recall, and had talked of nothing else for weeks. "I remember the whole incident vividly," I said. "But how did that start the trouble?" "She was telling him the story last night." "Well?" "Her eyes shining and her little hands clasped in girlish excitement." "No doubt." "And instead of giving her the understanding and sympathy to which she was entitled, what do you think this blasted Glossop did? He sat listening like a lump of dough, as if she had been talking about the weather, and when she had finished he took his cigarette holder out of his mouth and said, 'I expect it was only a floating log.'" "He didn't." "He did. And when Angela described how the thing had jumped and snapped at her, he took his cigarette holder out of his mouth again and said, 'Probably a flatfish. Quite harmless. No doubt it was just trying to play.'" "Well, I mean, what would you have done if you had been Angela? She has pride, sensibility, all the natural feelings of a good woman. She told him he was an ass and a fool and an idiot, and didn't know what he was talking about." I must say I saw the girl's viewpoint. It's only about once in a lifetime that anything sensational ever happens to one, and when it does, you don't want people taking all the color out of it. I remember at school having to read that stuff where that chap, Othello, tells the girl what a hell of a time he'd been having among the cannibals and what-not. Well, imagine his feelings if after he had described some particularly sticky passage with a cannibal chief and was waiting for the awestruck, "Oh, not really." She had said that the whole thing had no doubt been greatly exaggerated and that the man had probably really been a prominent local vegetarian. Yes, I saw Angela's point of view. "Good morning, Random." "Good morning." "But don't tell me that when he saw how shirty she was about it, the chump didn't back down." "He didn't. He argued, and one thing led to another until by easy stages they had arrived at the point where she was saying that she didn't know if he was aware of it, but if he didn't knock off starchy foods and do exercises every morning he'd be getting as fat as a pig. And he was talking about this modern habit of girls putting makeup on their faces, of which he had always disapproved. This continued for a while, and then there was a loud pop, and the air was full of mangled fragments of their engagement. I'm distracted about it. Thank goodness you've come, Bertie." "Nothing could have kept me away," I replied, touched. "I felt you needed me." "Yes." "Quite." "Or rather," she said, "not you, of course, but Jeeves. The minute all this happened, I thought of him. The situation obviously cries out for Jeeves. If ever in the whole history of human affairs there was a moment when that lofty brain was required about the home, this is it." I think, if I had been standing up, I would have staggered. In fact, I'm pretty sure I would. But it isn't so dashed easy to stagger when you're sitting in an armchair. Only my face, therefore, showed how deeply I had been stung by these words. Until she spoke them, I had been all sweetness and light, the sympathetic nephew, prepared to strain every nerve to do his bit. I now froze, and the face became hard and set. "Jeeves," I said between clenched teeth. Berufen," said Aunt Dahlia. I saw that she had got the wrong angle. I was not sneezing, I was saying Jeeves. "And well you may. What a man! I'm going to put the whole thing up to him. There's nobody like Jeeves." My frigidity became more marked. "I venture to take issue with you, Aunt Dahlia." "You take what?" "Issue." "You do you?" "I emphatically do." Jeeves is hopeless. What? Quite hopeless. He's lost his grip completely. Only a couple of days ago I was compelled to take him off a case because his handling of it was so footling. And anyway, I resent this assumption, if assumption is the word I want, that Jeeves is the only fellow with a brain. I object to the way everybody puts things up to him without consulting me and letting me have a stab at them first. She seemed about to speak, but I checked her with a gesture. It is true that in the past I have sometimes seen fit to seek Jeeves' advice. It is possible that in the future I may seek it again. But I claim the right to have a pop at these problems as they arise in person, without having everybody behave as if Jeeves was the only onion in the hash. I sometimes feel that Jeeves, though admittedly not unsuccessful in the past, has been rather lucky rather than gifted. Have you and Jeeves had a row? Nothing of the kind. You seem to have it in for him. Not at all. And yet, I must admit there was a modicum of truth in what she... Oh, this is not dialogue. And yet, I must admit there was a modicum of truth in what she said. I had been feeling pretty austere about the man all day. And I'll tell you why. Right after I thank Ninja Nick for that follow. Thank you, Ninja Nick. Good morning. Good morning. What's up? How's everyone's day shaping up? Good day, a confident day? I hope so. If my stream's a little lagging, yeah, I had to get on via a restream today, so my FTL might be a little behind. Apologies for that, but it's the way it is sometimes. Tillable Cat's a working day. You're always working, Tillable Cat. You work pretty hard. I wish I was working hard right now, but the industry is shut down. But anyway, it's all good. It's all good. You am and you do. All right. Let's see, where are we at? Just a little reminder for those who may not know. Here is the list of new stuff that's been added to Mixer there. New stuff rolling out today. If you don't see it right now, you might need to clear your cache, or there's some parts probably being rolled out to people individually. Like, for instance, I can't see any of it, even though it is apparently unleashed already. But yeah, a lot of new stuff on Mixer. A lot of new stuff on Mixer. Good morning, Scorpion Knights. Scorpion Knights. But the big news is Auto-host should now have been rolled out to everyone. So if you have a favorite streamer that you would like to add to an Auto-host, you could probably do that. I don't have any suggestions as to who your favorite streamer might be, but it's always nice when people share your channel with their friends. Oh, Tillable Cat, you do clinical research and sick people are still there. Are you working from home? I hope you're working from home. A lot of my stuff is work from home as well, but I mean, it's just everything's just died. Everything's died. You are working from home. Okay, okay. That's good then. There. Okay. We should probably get back onto it. Oh yeah, so if anyone is going to be throwing down any of the of those auto hosts there, just remember who your favorite streamer is. I hope it's me. I hope it's me. All right, let's see where we at. Let's get back to our story. There we go. Okay. And yet I must admit that there was a modicum of truth in what she said. I had been feeling pretty austere about the man all day, and I'll tell you why. You remember that he caught that 12:45 train with the luggage while I remained on in order to keep a luncheon engagement. Well, just before I started out to the tryst, I was pottering about the flat, and suddenly, I don't know what put the suspicion into my head. Possibly the fellow's manner had been furtive. Something seemed to whisper to me to go and have a look in the wardrobe. And it was as I had suspected. There was the mess jacket still on its hanger. The hound hadn't packed it. Well, as anybody at the drones will tell you, Bertram Wooster is a pretty hard chap to out-general. I shoved the thing into a brown paper parcel and put it in the back of the car, and it was on a chair in the hall now. But that didn't alter the fact that Jeeves had attempted to do the dirty on me. And I suppose a certain, what do you call it, had crept into my manner during the above remarks. There's been no breach, I said. You might describe it as a passing coolness, but no more. We did not happen to see eye to eye with regard to my white mess jacket with the brass buttons, and I was compelled to assert my personality. But, well, it doesn't matter anyway. The thing that matters is that you are talking piffle, you poor fish. Jeeves lost his grip. Absurd. Why, I saw him for a moment when he arrived, and his eyes were absolutely glittering with intelligence. I said to myself, trust Jeeves, and I intend to. You would be far better advised to let me see what I can accomplish, Aunt Dahlia. For heaven's sake, don't you start butting in. You'll only make matters worse. On the contrary, it may interest you to know that while driving here I concentrated deeply on this trouble of Angela's and was successful in formulating a plan, based on the psychology of the individual, which I am proposing to put into effect at an early moment. Oh, my God. My knowledge of human nature tells me it will work. Bertie, said Aunt Dahlia, and her manner struck me as febrile. Lay off, for pity's sake, lay off. I know these plans of yours. I suppose you want to shove Angela into the lake and push young Glossop in after her to save her life, or something like that. Nothing of the kind. It's the sort of thing you would do. My scheme is far more subtle. Let me outline it for you. No, thanks. I say to myself, but not to me. Do listen for a second. I won't. Right-ho, then. I'm dumb. And have been from a child. I perceived that little good could result from continuing the discussion. I waved a hand and shrugged a shoulder. Sup there, Ninja Nick. You are going to be 1 minute. You're going to be illuminate. Your character is angry. Why is he angry? What's going on? You like this? It's a break. It is. It's different. Yeah. But we do this Monday through Thursday, 10 o'clock Pacific. I read books here on Mixer. And, we go for about 2.5 hours, something like that. We're just doing some light stuff right now. Sundays, we have Short Story Sunday. And, short stories, poems. If you are a creative writer, I'm certainly willing to read what you want to share with the stream. All right. Alrighty. I hope your character's not too angry. Let's see. That's right. I didn't spell it right. All right. Let's get one of those going. I perceived that little good could result from continuing the discussion. I waved a hand and shrugged a shoulder. Very well, Aunt Dahlia, I said with dignity. If you don't want to be in on the ground floor, that is your affair. But you are missing an intellectual treat. And anyway, no matter how much you may behave like the deaf adder of Scripture, which, as you are doubtless aware, the more one piped, the less it danced, or words to that effect, I shall carry on as planned. I am extremely fond of Angela, and I shall spare no effort to bring the sunshine back into her heart. Bertie, you abysmal chump, I appeal to you once more. Will you please lay off? You'll only make things 10 times as bad as they are already. I remember reading in one of those historical novels once about a chap. A buck he would have been, no doubt, or a macaroni or some such bird as that, who, when people said the wrong thing, merely laughed down from lazy eyelids and flicked a speck of dust from the irreproachable Mechlin lace at his wrists. This was practically what I did now. At least I straightened my tie and smiled one of those inscrutable smiles of mine. I then withdrew and went out for a saunter in the garden. And the first chap I ran into was young Tuppy. His brow was furrowed, and he was moodily bunging stones at a flower pot. Okay, new chapter. Yeah, well, this is a pretty fast-moving book. Ninja Nick is... we missed you. We missed you, Ninja Nick. Good to see you again. I win these things way too often. All right. But, yeah, okay. I was just checking my mail. Okay, nothing... Who's this dude? Oh, from there. Oh, that guy can... All right. I'm getting emails from all of these, yeah, never mind. All right. Let's see, where are we at? Where are we at? Okay. Yeah, I'm just going to post this here again for those who might have missed it. This is the, oh, no, we went too far. I've lost the page it was on. Have to go back and copy my own link. Yeah, Backward Lion. Backward Lion. Good morning, man. How's Backward Lion? Okay, yeah, so this here's the link to the Mixer blog with the new updates for Mixer. Some of which are happening today, some of which are happening next week. But new updates rolling out. It's going to be pretty sweet. Pretty sweet. I win way too often. That's why everyone says it's rigged. I don't get it. Maybe it is. I don't know. Alrighty. How's the Backward Lion today? Still on your Dead by Daylight ban? We're doing okay. We're doing okay. We're having fun. We decided to go with a comedy this week, just because I think everyone needs a little levity in their life right now. I think they do. Indeed, they do. Let's see, but where are we at? Yeah, a little too much time on my hands right now, that's for sure. Oh yeah, but anyway, some great updates coming to Mixer. Great updates coming to Mixer, including updates to the console, Mixer experience. Some long overdue ones, which is very good. Yeah, and the way that the recommendations and the features stuff work on the home page are fantastic. I can't see it yet because I guess the cache needs to expire or whatever in my browser. But yeah, it's supposed to be rolling out today, so it's going to be pretty sweet. Looking forward to that. Alrighty. But very good, very good. Let's see. We got who's got more news? I'm going to get started on chapter 8 here. But if anyone's got some more news to share or exciting stuff, yeah, or even just your thoughts. Yeah, I'll get back to them while we work our way through this next chapter. Chapter 8. I think I have told you before about young Tuppy Glossop. He was the fellow, if you remember, who callously, ignoring the fact that we had been friends since boyhood, abetted me one night at the drones that I could swing myself across the swimming bath by the rings. A childish feat for one of my lissomness. And having seen me well on the way, looped back the last ring, thus rendering it necessary for me to drop into the deep end in formal evening costume. To say that I had not resented this foul deed, which seemed to me deserving of the title of the crime of the century, would be paltering with the truth. I had resented it profoundly, chafing not a little at the time, and continuing to chafe for some weeks. But you know how it is with these things. The wounds heal, the agony abates. Scorpion Knights, your doctor's cancelled all your yeah. And it's probably canceling a lot of people's appointments right now. Yeah, man. Yeah, yep. We need to get through this thing quickly and sensibly. So we can get back to some semblance of normalcy here. I'm not saying, mind you, that had the opportunity presented itself of dropping a wet sponge on Tuppy from some high spot, or of putting an eel in his bed, or finding some other form of self-expression of a like nature, I would not have embraced it eagerly. But that let me out. I mean to say, grievously injured though I had been, it gave me no pleasure to feel that the fellow's bally life was being ruined by the loss of a girl whom, despite all that had passed, I was convinced he still loved like the dickens. On the contrary, I was heart and soul in favor of healing the breach and rendering everything hotsy-totsy once more between these two young sundered blighters. You will have gleaned that from my remarks to Aunt Dahlia, and if you had been present at this moment and had seen the kindly commiserating look I gave Tuppy, you would have gleaned it still more. It was one of those searching, melting looks, and was accompanied by the hearty clasp of the right hand and the gentle laying of the left on the collarbone. "Well, Tuppy, old man," I said, "how are you, old man?" My commiseration deepened as I spoke the words, for there had been no lighting up of the eye, no answering pressure of the palm, no sign whatever, in short, of any disposition on his part to do spring dances at the sight of an old friend. The man seemed sandbagged. Melancholy, as I remember Jeeves saying once about Pongo Twistleton, when he was trying to knock off smoking, had marked him for her own. Not that I was surprised, of course. In the cirques, no doubt, a certain moodiness was only natural. I released the hand, ceased to knead the shoulder, and, producing the old case, offered him a cigarette. He took it dully. "Are you here, Bertie?" he asked. "Yes, I'm here." "Just passing through, or come to stay?" I thought for a moment. I might have told him that I had arrived at Brinkley Court with the express intention of bringing Angela and himself together once more, of knitting up the severed threads, and so on and so forth. And for perhaps half the time required for the lighting of a Gatsper, I had almost decided to do so. Then I reflected. Better on the whole? Perhaps not. To broadcast the fact that I had proposed to take him and Angela and play on them as a couple of stringed instruments might have been injudicious. Chaps don't always like being played on as a stringed instrument. "It all depends," I said. "I may remain. I may push on. My plans are uncertain." He nodded listlessly, rather in the manner of a man who did not give a damn what I did, and stood gazing out over the sunlit garden. In build and appearance, Tuppy somewhat resembles a bulldog, and his aspect now was that of one of these fine animals who's just been refused a slice of cake. It was not difficult for a man of my discernment to read what was in his mind, and it occasioned me no surprise, therefore, when his next words had to do with the subject marked with a cross on the agenda paper. "You've heard of this business of mine, I suppose? Me and Angela?" "I have indeed, Tuppy, old man." "We've bust up." "I know. Some little friction, I gather, in Angela's shark." "Yes, I said it must have been a flatfish." "So my informant told me." "Who did you hear it from?" "Aunt Dahlia." "I suppose she cursed me properly." "Oh, no." "Beyond referring to you in one passage as this blasted glossip, she was— Oh, no. Who's that?" Oh, no, that continues. Oh, no. Beyond referring to you in one passage as this blasted glossop, she was, I thought, singularly temperate in her language for a woman who at one time hunted regularly with the corn. All the same, I could see, if you don't mind me saying so, old man, that she felt you might have behaved with a little more tact. Tact. And I must admit I rather agreed with her. Was it nice, Tuppy? Was it quite kind to take the bloom off Angela's shark like that? You must remember that Angela's shark is very dear to her. Could you not see what a sock on the jaw it would be for the poor child to hear it described by the man to whom she had given her heart as a flatfish? I saw that he was struggling with some powerful emotion. "And what about my side of the thing?" he demanded in a voice choked with feeling. "Your side?" "You don't suppose," said Tuppy with rising vehemence, "that I would have exposed this dashed synthetic shark for the flatfish it undoubtedly was, if there had not been causes that led up to it? What induced me to speak as I did was the fact that Angela, the little squirt, had just been most offensive, and I seized the opportunity to get a bit of my own back." "Offensive?" "Exceedingly offensive, purely on the strength of my having let fall some casual remark, simply by the way of saying something and keeping the conversation going, to the effect that I wondered what Anatole was going to give us for dinner. She said that I was too material and ought not always to be thinking of food. Material my elbow. As a matter of fact, I'm particularly spiritual." "Quite. I don't see any harm in wondering what Anatole was going to give us for dinner. Do you?" "Of course not. A mere ordinary tribute of respect to a great artist." "Exactly." "All the same—" "Well?" "I was only going to say that it seems a pity that the frail craft of love should come a stinker like this when a few manly words of contrition—" He stared at me. "You aren't suggesting that I should climb down?" "It would be the fine big thing, old egg." "I wouldn't dream of climbing down." "But, Tuppy—" "No, I wouldn't do it." "But you love her, don't you?" This touched the spot. He quivered noticeably, and his mouth twisted. Quite the tortured soul. "I'm not saying I don't love the little blighter," he said, obviously moved. "I love her passionately, but that doesn't alter the fact that I consider that what she needs most in this world is a swift kick in the pants." A Wooster could scarcely pass this. "Tuppy, old man." "It's no good saying Tuppy, old man." "Well, I do say Tuppy, old man. Your tone shocks me. One raises the eyebrows. Where is the fine old chivalrous spirit of the Glossops?" "That's all right about the fine old chivalrous spirit of the Glossops. Where is the sweet, gentle, womanly spirit of the Angelas, telling a fellow he was getting a double chin?" "Did she do that?" "She did." "Oh, well, girls will be girls. Forget it, Tuppy. Go to her and make it up." He shook his head. "Oh, it's up there, 40-year-old Merc King." "Thank you for that, Father." He shook his head. "No, it's too late. Remarks have been passed about my tummy, which it's impossible to overlook." "But, Tuppy, I mean, be fair. You once told her new hat made her look like a Pekingese." It did make her look like a Pekingese. That was not vulgar abuse. It was sound, constructive criticism with no motive behind it but the kindly desire to keep her from making an exhibition of herself in public. Wantonly to accuse a man of puffing when he goes up a flight of stairs is something very different. I began to see that the situation would require all my address and ingenuity. If the wedding bells were ever to ring out in the little church of Market Snodsbury, Bertram had plainly got to put in some shrewdish work. I had gathered during my conversation with Aunt Dahlia that there had been a certain amount of frank speech between the two contracting parties, but I had not realized till now that matters had gone so far. The pathos of the thing gave me the pip. Tuppy had admitted in so many words that love still animated the Glossop bosom, and I was convinced that, even after all that had occurred, Angela had not ceased to love him. At the moment, no doubt, she might be wishing that she could hit him with a bottle, but deep down in her I was prepared to bet that there still lingered all the old affection and tenderness. Only injured pride was keeping these two apart, and I felt that if Tuppy would make the first move, all would be well. I had another whack at it. She's broken-hearted about this rift, Tuppy. How do you know? Have you seen her? No, but I'll bet she is. She doesn't look it. Wearing the mask, no doubt. Jeeves does that when I assert my authority. She wrinkles her nose at me as if I were a drain that had got out of order. Merely the mask? I feel convinced she loves you still, and that a kindly word from you is all that's required. I could see that this had moved him. He plainly wavered. He did a sort of twiddly on the turf with his foot, and when he spoke, one spotted the tremolo in the voice. You really think that? Absolutely. If you were to go to her... He shook his head. Good morning, Silent Running. What's up? I can't do that. It would be fatal. Bing, instantly, would go my prestige. I know girls. Grovel, and the best of them get uppish. He mused. The only way to work the thing would be by tipping her off in some indirect way that I'm prepared to open negotiations. Should I sigh a bit when we meet, do you think? She would think you were puffing. That's true. I lit another cigarette and gave my mind to the matter. And first crack out of the box, as is so often the way with the Woosters, I got an idea. I remembered the counsel I had given Gussie in the matter of the sausages and ham. I've got it, Tuppy. There's one infallible method of indicating to a girl that you love her, and it works just as well when you've had a row and want to make it up. Don't eat any dinner tonight. You can see how impressive that would be. She knows how devoted you are to food. He started violently. I am not devoted to food. No. I am not devoted to food at all. Quite. All I meant... This rot about me being devoted to food, said Tuppy warmly, has got to stop. I am young and healthy and have a good appetite, but that's not the same as being devoted to food. I admire Anatole as a master of his craft, and am almost always willing to consider anything he may put before me. But when you say I am devoted to food... Quite. All I meant was that if she sees you push away your dinner untasted, she will realize that your heart is aching, and will probably be the first to suggest blowing the all clear. Tuppy was frowning thoughtfully. Push my dinner away, eh? Yes. Push away a dinner cooked by Anatole. Yes. Push it away, untasted. Yes. Let us get this straight. Tonight, at dinner, when the butler offers me a riz de veau à la financière, or whatever it may be, hot from Anatole's hands, you wish me to push it away, untasted? Yes. He chewed his lip. One could sense the struggle going on within. And then suddenly a sort of glow came into his face. The old martyrs probably used to look like that. All right. 6 p.m. in ye old blighty. Yeah, it's a little later over there. Yeah, you got daylight you guys have daylight saving time coming up, right? Very good. I hope your day is going awesome there. Well, I know your day is winding down. Still 11 a.m. in the morning. 11 a.m. Top of the morning to you. Top of the morning. Oh, by the way, for those who wanted to, they might have missed it. Yeah, I keep posting this. This is the this here is the updates rolling out today and next week on Mixer. Oh, geez, grabbing some tea. Most appropriate for a very British book like this. Yeah. Okay, let's get back to it. Okay, so he's gonna push it away, untasted. The old martyrs probably used to look like that. All right. You'll do it. I will. Fine. Of course, it will be agony. I pointed out the silver lining. Only for the moment. You could slip down tonight after everyone is in bed and raid the larder. He brightened. Oh, that's right. I could, couldn't I? I expect there would be something cold there. There is something cold there, said Tuppy with growing cheerfulness. A steak and kidney pie. We're headed for lunch today, one of Anatole's ripest. The thing I admire about that man, said Tuppy reverently, the thing that I admire so enormously about Anatole is that, though a Frenchman, he does not, like so many of these chefs, confine himself exclusively to French dishes, but is always willing and ready to weigh in with some good old simple English fare, such as this steak and kidney pie to which I have alluded. A masterly pie, Bertie, and it wasn't more than half finished. It will do me nicely. And at dinner you will push, as arranged. Absolutely, as arranged. Fine. It's an excellent idea, one of Jeeves' best. You can tell him from me when you see him that I'm much obliged. The cigarette fell from my fingers. It was as though somebody had slapped Bertram Wooster across the face with a wet dish rag. You aren't suggesting that you think this scheme I have been sketching out is Jeeves? Oh, of course it is. It's no good trying to kid me, Bertie. You wouldn't have thought of a wheeze like that in a million years. There was a pause. I drew myself up to my full height. Then, seeing that he wasn't looking at me, lowered myself again. Come, Glossop, I said coldly. We had better be going. It is time we were dressing for dinner. It's just so flighty, so flighty. Okay, you're surprised nobody on gaming streams has done a toilet roll emote yet. Yeah, there's... Well, I don't know, that's what my... That's what my goal is for the thing up there. Yeah. But yeah, you know, yeah, there's or even you know, for you know, they had the things like sprinkled down out of the sky, like a whole bunch of rolls like that raining down. That'd be sweet. That would be sweet. Okay, so Scorpion Knight's MRI has been cancelled as well. Yeah, yeah. Hospitals are in a bit of a change around right now. Yeah, yeah. It's unfortunate, Scorpion Knights. Unfortunate, but yeah, a couple of weeks. We'll get it back on track. Get it back on track. Alrighty. Let's see. What do we got? We're let's see. We got doesn't show any numbers over there. Probably none. Who knows? But there we go. Oh yeah. So yeah, for let's see. Oh, let me just refresh right there as well. One second. Let's see where our numbers are. Ah, okay. So yeah, we'll get back to it in a second. Just giving my tongue a bit of a rest. TP the Carrington stream. I'm a fan. I'll take it. I'll take it all. Stop there. Ooh, I missed that gift.
Spilled tea, spot of tea.
A nice spot of tea. What kind? What kind? If you don't mind my asking. Could be delicious. I can go for a nice cup of tea. Not on the heel of that nice cup of coffee I just had, though. So something nice about letting the coffee just like rest on the tongue there. Alrighty. Very good. Thank you. Anyway, thank you for the embers there, Tillable Cat. I am a fan of those. I like them a lot. Okay, let's see. Let's get back into our book. Yeah, we got a ways to go. What are people thinking of this book, by the way? I mean, it's not very hard hitting. I just wanted to pick something which was light and flighty, and I think it's definitely hitting that mark. And I certainly don't have to do any American accents in it too, which is that's working for me. Whoo! It is pretty fun. You understand that the English are very particularly loyal to their tea brand. Okay, so you're not. Oh, you think it could cause a little controversy, a little controversy. Yeah. All right. I see. Don't want to get on anyone's wrong side. Fair enough. All right. Let's get back to our book. Let's do it. In chapter 9. Tuppy's fat-headed words were still rankling in my bosom as I went up to my room. They continued rankling as I shed the form-fitting, and had not ceased to rankle when, clad in the old dressing-gown, I made my way along the corner to the salle de bain. It is not too much to say that I was piqued to the tonsils. You American, you'll drink day-old swill. Oh, boy. Yeah, I think that definitely would offend some true Brits at heart. Scorpion Knights has got vodka and orange juice, so oh, good God. Okay, well, you're ready for the apocalypse, aren't you? That's... Oh, man. Yeah. No, it's, yeah, I know, yeah, it's, yeah, Okay. It is not too much to say that I was piqued to the tonsils. Throwing down a toilet roll. Black Friday all over again. It's your toilet roll. Man. It is, yeah, it's, I can't believe that there's still a run on that. But there we are. It's not too much to say that I was piqued to the tonsils. I mean to say, one does not court praise. The adulation of the multitude means very little to one, but all the same, when one has taken the trouble to whack out a highly juicy scheme to benefit an in-the-soup friend in his hour of travail, It's pretty foul to find him giving the credit to one's personal attendant, particularly if that personal attendant is a man who goes about the place not packing mess jackets. But after I had been splashing about in the porcelain for a bit, composure began to return. I have always found that in moments of heart-bowed-downness there is nothing that calms the bruised spirit like a good go at the soap and water. I don't say I actually sang in the tub, but there were times when it was a mere spin of the coin whether I would do so or not. The spiritual anguish induced by that tactless speech had become noticeably lessened. The discovery of a toy duck in the soap dish, presumably the property of some former juvenile visitor, contributed not a little to this new and happier frame of mind. What with one thing and another, I hadn't played with toy ducks in my bath for years, and I found the novel experience most invigorating. For the benefit of those interested, I may mention that if you shove the thing under the surface with the sponge, and then let it go, it shoots out of the water in a manner calculated to divert the most careworn. 10 minutes of this, and I was enabled to return to the bedchamber, much more the old merry Bertram. OG is back. OG Rainbow. They can be. But I mean, just like anything, everyone likes certainty and predictability. And when that is taken away through various events and lack of what appears to be a lack of plan, people don't know what to think. I'm not in for a good screwdriver. What? Okay. Jeeves was there, laying out the dinner disguise. He greeted the young master with his customary suavity. "Good evening, sir," I responded in the same affable key. "Good evening, Jeeves." "I trust you had a pleasant drive, sir." Very pleasant, thank you, Jeeves. Hand me a sock or two, will you?" He did so, and I commenced to don. "Well, Jeeves," I said, reaching for the underlinen, "here we are again at Brinkley Court, in the county of Worcestershire." "Yes, sir." "A nice mess things seem to have gone and got themselves into, in this rustic joint." "Yes, sir." The rift between Tuppy Glossop and my cousin Angela would appear to be serious." "Yes, sir. Opinion in the servants' hall is inclined to take a grave view of the situation." "And the thought that springs to your mind, no doubt, is that I shall have my work cut out to fix things up." "Yes, sir." You are wrong, Jeeves. I have the thing well in hand." "You surprise me, sir." "I thought I should. Yes, Jeeves, I pondered on the matter most of the way down here, and with the happiest results. I have just been in conference with Mr. Glossop, and everything is taped out." "Indeed, sir. Might I inquire—" "You know my methods, Jeeves. Apply them." "Have you," I asked, slipping into the shirt and starting to adjust the cravat, "been gnawing on the thing at all?" "Oh, yes, sir. I've always been much attached to Miss Angela, and I felt that it would afford me great pleasure were I to be able to be of service to her." "A laudable sentiment, but I suppose you drew blank." "No, sir. I was rewarded with an idea." "What was it?" "It occurred to me that a reconciliation might be effected between Mr. Glossop and Miss Angela by appealing to that instinct which prompts gentlemen in times of peril to hasten to the rescue of—" I had to let go of the cravat in order to raise a hand. I was shocked. "Don't tell me you were contemplating descending to that old 'he saved her from drowning' gag. I'm surprised, Jeeves. Surprised and pained. When I was discussing the matter with Aunt Dahlia on my arrival, she said in a sniffy sort of way that she supposed I was going to shove my cousin Angela into the lake and push Tippy in order to haul her out, and I let her see pretty clearly that I considered the suggestion an insult to my intelligence. And now, if your words have the meaning I read into them, you are mooting precisely the same drivelling scheme. Really, Jeeves?" "No, sir, not that. But the thought did cross my mind, as I walked into the grounds and past the building where the fire bell hangs, that a sudden alarm of fire in the night might result in Mr. Glossop endeavouring to assist Miss Angela to safety." I shivered. "Rotten, Jeeves." "Well, sir, no good. Not a bit like it." "I fancy, sir—" "No, Jeeves. No more. Enough has been said. Let us drop the subject." I finished tying the tie in silence. My emotions were too deep for speech. I knew, of course, that this man had, for the time being, lost his grip, but I had never suspected that he had gone absolutely to pieces like this. Remembering some of the swift ones he had pulled in the past, I shrank with horror from the spectacle of his present ineptitude. Or is it ineptness? I mean, this frightful disposition of his to stick straws in his hair and talk like a perfect ass. It was the old story, I supposed. A man's brain whizzes along for years, exceeding the speed limit, and something suddenly goes wrong with the steering gear, and it skids and comes a smeller in the ditch. "Hey there, Halo Collector, good morning." "A bit elaborate," I said, trying to put the thing in as kindly a light as possible. "Your old failing. You can see that it's a bit elaborate." "Possibly the plan I suggested might be considered open to that criticism, sir, but faute de mieux—" "I don't get you, Jeeves." "A French expression, sir, signifying for want of anything better." A moment before, I had been feeling for this wreck of a once fine thinker nothing but gentle pity. These words jarred the Wooster pride, inducing asperity. "I understand perfectly well what faute de mieux means, Jeeves. I did not recently spend 2 months along our Gallic neighbours for nothing. Besides, I remember that one from school. What caused my bewilderment was that you should be employing the expression, well knowing that there is no ballet faute de mieux about it at all. Where do you get that faute de mieux stuff? Didn't I tell you I had everything taped out?" "Yes, sir, but—" "What do you mean, but?" "Well, sir—" "Push on, Jeeves. I am ready, even anxious, to hear your views." "Well, sir, if I may take the liberty of reminding you of it, your plans in the past have not always been uniformly successful." There was a silence, rather a throbbing one, during which I put on my waistcoat in a marked manner. Not till I had got the buckle at the back satisfactorily adjusted did I speak. "It is true, Jeeves," I said formally, "that once or twice in the past I may have missed the bus. This, however, I attribute purely to bad luck." "Indeed, sir?" "On the present occasion I shall not fail, and I'll tell you why I shall not fail. Because my scheme is rooted in human nature." "Indeed, sir?" "It is simple, not elaborate, and furthermore based on the psychology of the individual." "Indeed, sir?" "Jeeves," I said, "don't keep saying 'indeed, sir.' No doubt nothing is further from your mind than to convey such a suggestion. But you have a way of stressing the in and then coming down with a thud on the deed, which makes it virtually tantamount to, oh yeah. Correct this, Jeeves. Very good, sir. I tell you, I have everything nicely lined up. Would you care to hear what steps I've taken? Very much, sir. Then listen, tonight at dinner, I have recommended Tuppy to lay off the food. Sir. Tut, Jeeves, surely you can follow the idea, even though it is one that would never have occurred to yourself. Have you forgotten that telegram I sent to Gussie Fink-Nottle, steering him away from the sausages and ham? This is the same thing. Pushing the food away untasted is a universally recognized sign of love. It cannot fail to bring home the gravy. You must see that. Well, sir, I frowned. I don't want to seem always to be criticizing your methods of voice production, Jeeves, I said, but I must inform you that the well, sir, of yours is in many respects fully as unpleasant as your indeed, sir. Like the latter, it seems to be tinged with a definite skepticism. It suggests a lack of faith in my vision. The impression I retain after hearing you shoot it at me a couple of times is that you consider me to be talking through the back of my neck, and that only a feudal sense of what is fitting restrains you from substituting it for the words "says you." Oh, no, sir. Well, that's what it sounds like. Why don't you think this scheme will work? I fear Miss Angela will merely attribute Mr. Glossop's abstinence to indigestion, sir. I hadn't thought of that, and I must confess it shook me for a moment. Then I recovered myself. I saw what was at the bottom of all of this. Mortified by the consciousness of his own ineptness, or ineptitude, the fellow was simply trying to hamper and obstruct. Something, Captain Hugo. Crow says I should be a voice actor. I decided to knock the stuffing out of him without further preamble. Oh, I said, you do you? Well, be that as it may, it doesn't alter the fact that you have put out the wrong coat. Be so good, Jeeves, I said, indicating with a gesture the gent's ordinary dinner jacket, or smoking, as we call it on the Côte d'Azur, which was suspended from the hanger on the knob of the wardrobe, as to shove that bally black thing in the cupboard and bring out my white mess jacket with the brass buttons. He looked at me in a meaning manner. And when I say a meaning manner, I mean there was a respectful, but at the same time uppish glint in his eye, and a sort of muscular spasm flickered across his face, which wasn't quite a quiet smile, and yet wasn't quite not a quiet smile. Also, the soft cough. Ninja has never left us. A true believer. I'm glad you're spending some time with us here, Ninja Nick, and I hope your day is awesome. I regret to say, sir, that I inadvertently omitted to pack the garment to which you refer. The vision of that parcel in the hall seemed to rise before my eyes, and I exchanged a merry wink with it. I may even have hummed a bar or two. I'm not quite sure. I know you did, Jeeves, I said, laughing down from lazy eyelids and nicking a speck of dust from the irreproachable Mechlin lace at my wrists. But I didn't. You will find it on a chair in the hall in a brown paper parcel. The information that his low maneuvers had been rendered null and void, and that the thing was on the strength, after all, must have been the nastiest of jars, but there was no play of expression on his finely chiseled to indicate it. There very seldom is on Jeeves, F.C. In moments of discomfort, as I have told Tuppy, he wears a mask, preserving throughout the quiet stolidity of a stuffed moose. You might just slide down and fetch it, will you? Very good, sir. Right-o, Jeeves. And presently I was sauntering towards the drawing-room with me, good old Jay, nestling snugly abaft the shoulder-blades. And Dahlia was in the drawing-room. She glanced up at my entrance. "Hello, Eyesore," she said. "What do you think you're made up as?" I did not get the purport. The jacket, you mean?" I queried, groping. "I do. You look like one of the chorus of male guests at Abernethy Towers in Act 2 of a touring musical comedy." "You do not admire this jacket?" "Oh, I do not." "You did at Cannes." "Well, this isn't Cannes." "But, dash it—" "Oh, never mind, let it go. If you want to give my butler a laugh, what does it matter? What does anything matter now?" There was a death where is thy sting fullness about her manner, which I found distasteful. It isn't often that I score off Jeeves in the devastating fashion just described, and when I do, I like to see happy, smiling faces about me. "Tails up, Aunt Dahlia," I urged buoyantly. "Tails up be dashed," was her somber response. "I've just been talking to Tom." "Telling him?" "No, listening to him. I haven't had the nerve to tell him yet." "Is he still upset about that income tax money?" "Upset is right. He said that civilization is in the melting pot and that all thinking men can read the writing on the wall." "What wall?" "Old Testament ass. Belshazzar's feast." "Oh, that, yes. I've often wondered how that gag was worked. With mirrors, I expect." "I wish I could use mirrors to break it to Tom about this baccarat business." I had a word of comfort to offer here. I had been turning the thing over in my mind since our last meeting, and I thought I saw where she had got twisted, where she made her error, it seemed to me, wasn't feeling she had got to tell Uncle Tom. To my way of thinking, the matter was one on which it would be better to continue to exercise a quiet reserve. "I don't see why you need mention that you lost that money at baccarat." "What do you suggest, then? Letting Milady's boudoir join civilization in the melting pot? Because that's what we'll infallibly do unless I get a check by next week. The printers have been showing a nasty spirit for months." "Oh, you don't follow. Listen. It's an understood thing, I take it, that Uncle Tom foots the boudoir bills. If the bally sheet has been turning the corner for 2 years, he must have got used to forking out by this time. Well, simply ask him for the money to pay the printers." "I did, just before I went to Cannes." "Wouldn't he give it to you?" "Oh, certainly he gave it to me. He brassed up like an officer and a gentleman. That was the money I lost at baccarat." "Oh. I didn't know that." "There isn't much you do know." A nephew's love made me overlook the slur. "Oh, tut," I said. "Oh, what did you say?" "I said tut." "Oh, say it once again, and I'll biff you where you stand. I've enough to endure without being tutted at." "Quite. Any tutting that's required I'll attend to myself, and the same applies to clicking the tongue if you were thinking of doing that." "Far from it." "Good." I stood a while and thought. I was concerned to the core. My heart, if you remember, had already bled once for Aunt Dahlia this evening. It now bled again. I knew how deeply attached she was to this paper of hers. Seeing it go down the drain would be for her like watching a loved child sink for the third time in some pond or mare. And there was no question that, unless carefully prepared for the touch, Uncle Tom would see 100 miladies' boudoirs go fut rather than take the rap. Then I saw how the thing could be handled. This aunt... Oh, Ninja is out of here. Ninja Nick, thank you for spending some time with us. We'll see you later, my friend. Got to share that Xbox with your cousin? That's fine. Have a great day. Have a great day. Alrighty. Oh, well, thank you, Blastoid. Being very kind. Very kind. Yeah, boy, oh boy, yeah, I do seem to win an inordinate amount of those things there. But rest assured, there's no way to jigger with the results of that one. Then I saw how the thing could be handled. This aunt, I perceived, must fall in line with my other clients. Tuppy Glossop was knocking off dinner to melt Angela. Gussie Fink Nottle was knocking off dinner to impress the Bassett. Aunt Dahlia must knock off dinner to soften Uncle Tom. For the beauty of this scheme of mine was that there was no limit to the number of entrants. Come one, come all, the more the merrier, and satisfaction guaranteed in every case. I've got it, I said. There is only one course to pursue. Eat less meat. She looked at me in a pleading sort of way. I wouldn't swear that her eyes were wet with unshed tears, but I rather think they were. Certainly she clasped her hands in piteous appeal. "Oh, must you drivel, Bertie? Won't you stop it just this once? Just for tonight, to please Aunt Dahlia?" "I'm not driveling." "I dare say that to a man of your high standards it doesn't come under the head of drivel, but—" I saw what had happened. I hadn't made myself quite clear. "It's all right," I said. "Have no misgivings. This is the real Tabasco. When I said, 'eat less meat,' what I meant was that you must refuse your oats at dinner tonight. Just sit there, looking blistered, and wave away each course as it comes with a weary gesture of resignation. You will see what will happen. Uncle Tom will notice your loss of appetite, and I am prepared to bet that at the conclusion of the meal he will come to you and say, 'Oh, Dahlia, darling,' I take it he calls you Dahlia. 'Dahlia, darling,' he will say, 'I noticed at dinner tonight that you were a bit off your feed. Is anything the matter, Dahlia, darling?' 'Why, yes, Tom, darling,' you will reply. 'It is kind of you to ask, darling. The fact is, darling, I am quite terribly worried.' 'My darling,' he will say." Aunt Dahlia interrupted at this point to observe that these traverses seemed to be a pretty soppy couple of blighters to judge by their dialogue. She also wished to know when I was going to get to the point. I gave her a look. "My darling," he will say tenderly, "is there anything I can do?" To which your reply will be that there jolly well is, viz. Reach for his checkbook and start writing. I was watching her closely as I spoke, and was pleased to note respect suddenly dawn in her eyes. "Oh, but Bertie, this is positively bright." "I told you Jeeves wasn't the only fellow with brain." "I believe it would work." "It's bound to work. I've recommended it to Tuppy." "Young Glossop?" "In order to soften Angela." "Oh, splendid." "And to Gussie Fink Nottle, who wants to make a hit with the Bassett." "Well, well, well, what a busy little brain it is." "Always working, Aunt Dahlia, always working." "You're not the chump I took you for, Bertie." "When did you ever take me for a chump?" "Oh, sometime last summer. I forget what gave me the idea. Yes, Bertie, this scheme is bright. I suppose, as a matter of fact, Jeeves suggested it." "Jeeves did not suggest it. I resent these implications. Jeeves had nothing to do with it whatsoever." "Well, all right. No need to get excited about it. Yes, I think it will work. Tom's devoted to me." who wouldn't be? I'll do it. And then the rest of the party trickled in, and we toddled down to dinner. Conditions being as they were at Brinkley Court, I mean to say, the place being loaded down above the Plimsoll mark with aching hearts and standing room only as regarded tortured souls, I hadn't expected the evening meal to be particularly effervescent. Nor was it. Silent. Somber. The whole thing more a bit like Christmas dinner on Devil's Island. I was glad when it was over. Yeah, there's a lot of people sitting around a table looking miserable. I was glad when it was over. What with having, on top of her other troubles, to rein herself back from the trough, Aunt Dahlia was a total loss as far as anything in the shape of brilliant badinage was concerned. What's badinage? Conversation? Humorous or witty conversation. The fact that he was 50 quid in the red and expecting civilization to take a toss at any moment had caused Uncle Tom, who always looked a little bit like a pterodactyl with a secret sorrow, to take on a deeper melancholy. The Basset was a silent bread crumbler. Angela might have been hewn from the living rock. Tuppy had the air of a condemned murderer refusing to make the usual hearty breakfast before tooling off to the execution shed. And as for Gussie Fink Nottle, many an experienced undertaker would have been deceived by his appearance and started embalming him on sight. This was the first glimpse I had had of Gussie since we parted at my flat, and I must say his demeanor disappointed me. I had been expecting something a great deal more sparkling. At my flat, on the occasion alluded to, he had, if you recall, practically given me a signed guarantee that all he needed to touch him off was a rural setting. Yet in this aspect now I could detect no indication whatsoever that he was about to round into mid-season form. He still looked like a cat in an adage, and it did not take me long to realize that my very first act on escaping from this morgue must be to draw him aside and give him a pep talk. Yes, Mr. Halo Collector, I win again. If ever a chap wanted the clarion note, it looked as if it was this Fink Nottle. In the general exodus of mourners, however, I lost sight of him, and owing to the fact that Aunt Dahlia roped me in for a game of backgammon, it was not immediately that I was able to institute a search. But after we had been playing for a while, the butler came in and asked her if she could speak to Anatole, so I managed to get away. And some 10 minutes later, having failed to find scent in the house, I started to throw out the dragnet through the grounds and flushed him in the rose garden. He was smelling a rose at the moment in a limp sort of way, but removed the beak as I approached. "Well, Gussie," I said. I had beamed genially upon him as I spoke, such being my customary policy on meeting an old pal. But instead of beaming back genially, he gave me a most unpleasant look. His attitude perplexed me. It was as if he were not glad to see Bertram. For a moment he stood letting this unpleasant look play upon me, as it were. And then he spoke. Change to the Pac-Man? Nice. "You and your well, Gussie." He said this between clenched teeth, always an unmatey thing to do, and I found myself more fogged than ever. "How do you mean, me and my well, Gussie?" "I like your nerve, coming bounding about the place saying, 'Well, Gussie.' That's about all the well, Gussie, I shall require from you, Wooster. And it's no good looking like that. You know what I mean. That damned prize-giving. It was a dastardly act to crawl out as you did and shove it off onto me. I will not mince my words. It was the act of a hound and a stinker." Now, though, as I have shown, I had devoted most of my time on the journey down to meditating upon the case of Angela and Tuppy, I had not neglected to give a thought or two to what I was going to say when I encountered Gussie. I had foreseen that there might be some little temporary unpleasantness when we met, and when a difficult interview is in the offing, Bertram Wooster likes to have his story ready. So now I was able to reply with a manly, disarming frankness. The sudden introduction of the topic had given me a bit of a jolt, it is true, for in the stress of recent happenings I had rather let that prize-giving business slide to the back of my mind, but I had speedily recovered, and, as I say, was able to reply with a manly D.F. "But, my dear chap," I said, "I took it for granted that you would understand that was all my part of the scheme. That was all part of my schemes." He said something about my schemes which I did not catch. Oh, what's up with Brian? What's going on, Brian? What is up? Brian GG. Ooh. Oh, but yeah, but if you play enough times, you finally win. You finally win. But yeah, I don't know, for some reason the odds definitely do seem to be stacked into my favor. Yeah, not sure why. Okay, so yeah, okay. But my dear chap, I said, I took it for granted that you would understand that was all part of my schemes. He said something about my schemes which I did not catch. Absolutely. Crawling out is entirely the wrong way to put it. You don't suppose I didn't want to distribute those prizes, do you? Left to myself, there is nothing I would find a greater treat. But I saw that the square, generous thing to do was to step aside and let you take it on. So I did so. I felt that your need was greater than mine. You don't mean to say you aren't looking forward to it?" He uttered a coarse expression which I wouldn't have thought he would have known. It just shows that you can bury yourself in the country and still somehow require a vocabulary. No doubt one picks up things from the neighbors, the vicar, the local doctor, the man who brings the milk, and so on. "But dash it," I said, "can't you see what this is going to do for you? It will send your stock up with a jump. There you will be, up on that platform, a romantic, impressive figure, the star of the whole proceedings, the what-do-you-call-it of all eyes. Madeline Bassett will be all over you. She will see you in a totally new light." "She will she?" "Certainly she will. Augustus Finknottle, the newt's friend, she knows. She is acquainted with Augustus Finknottle, the dog's chiropodist? I don't know, how do you say that? Let's look it up. Pronounce. Chiropodist. Chiropodist? Chiropodist. Chiropodist. There we go. We had to look it up. That's why. Oh, you know why Lady Death has butt stars. What? Okay. Certainly she will. Augustus Finknottle, the newt's friend, she knows. She is acquainted with Augustus Finknottle, the dog's chiropodist. But Augustus Finknottle, the orator, that'll knock her sideways, for I know nothing of the female heart. Girls go potty over a public man. If ever anyone did anyone else a kindness, it was I, when I gave this extraordinarily attractive assignment to you." He seemed impressed by my eloquence. Couldn't have helped himself, of course. The fire faded from behind his horn-rimmed spectacles, and in its place appeared the old fish-like goggle. "Mize," he said meditatively, "have you ever made a speech, Bertie?" Dozens of times. It's pie. Nothing to it. Why, I once addressed a girls' school. You weren't nervous? Not a bit. How did you go? They hung on my lips. I held them in the hollow of my hand. They didn't throw eggs or anything? Not a thing. He expelled a deep breath and for a space stood staring in silence at a passing slug. "Well," he said at length, "it may be all right. Possibly I am letting the thing prey on my mind too much. I may be wrong in supposing it the fate that is worse than death. But I'll tell you this much. The prospect of that prize-giving on the 31st of this month has been turning my existence into a nightmare. I haven't been able to sleep, or think, or eat. By the way, that reminds me. You never explained that cipher telegram about the sausages and ham." "It wasn't a cipher telegram. I wanted you to go light on the food so that she would realize you were in love." He laughed hollowly. "I see. Well, I've been doing that all right." "Yes, I was noticing at dinner. Splendid." "Hey there, Tempo Sedaris. How you doing? How you doing? Who's that? She's on top of the stream avatar's leaderboard. I didn't know there was one, actually. Where's the stream avatar's leader? Okay. Yes, I was noticing at dinner. Splendid." "I don't see what's splendid about it. It's not going to get me anywhere. I shall never be able to ask her to marry me. I couldn't find nerve to do that if I lived on wafer biscuits for the rest of my life." "But dash it, Gussie, in these romantic surroundings. I should have thought the whispering trees alone." "I don't care what you have thought. I can't do it." "Oh, come." "I can't. She seems so aloof, so remote." "She doesn't." "Yes, she does. Especially when you see her sideways. Have you seen her sideways, Bertie? That cold, pure profile. It just takes all the heart out of one." "It does not." "I tell you it does. I catch sight of it, and the words freeze on my lips." He spoke with a sort of dull despair, and so manifest was his lack of ginger and the spirit that wins to success that for an instant, I confess, I felt a bit stymied. It seemed hopeless to go on trying to steam up such a human jellyfish. Then I saw the way. With that extraordinary quickness of mine, I realized exactly what must be done if this Finknottle was to be enabled to push his nose past the judge's box. "She must be softened up," I said. "Be what?" "Softened up, sweetened, worked on. Preliminary spade work must be put in. Here, Gussie, is the procedure I propose to adopt. I shall now return to the house and lug this Bassett out for a stroll. I shall talk to her of hearts that yearn, intimating that there is one actually on the premises. I shall pitch it strong, sparing no effort. You, meanwhile, will lurk on the outskirts, and in about a quarter of an hour you will come along and carry on from there. By that time, her emotions having been stirred, you ought to be able to do the rest on your head. It will be like leaping onto a moving bus." I remember when I was a kid at school having to learn a poem of sorts about a fellow named Pig something. A sculptor, he would have been, no doubt, who made a statue of a girl, and what should happen one morning but that bally thing suddenly come to life. A pretty nasty shock for the chap, of course, but the point I'm working round to is that there were a couple of lines that went, if I remember correctly. She starts, she moves, she seems to feel the stir of life along her keel. And what I'm driving at is that you couldn't get a better description of what happened to Gussie as I spoke these heartening words. His brow cleared, his eyes brightened, he lost that fishy look, and he gazed at the slug, which was still on the long, long trail, with something approaching a bonhomie. A marked improvement.
I see what you mean. You will sort of pave the way, as it were.
That's right. Spade work.
It's a terrific idea, Bertie. It will make all the difference.
Quite. But don't forget that after that it will be up to you. You will have to haul up your slacks and give her the old oil, or my efforts will have been in vain. Something of his former God-help-usness seemed to return to him. He gasped a bit.
Oh, that's true. What the dickens shall I say?
I restrained my impatience with an effort. The man had been at school with me. Oh, dash it, there are hundreds of things you can say. Talk about the sunset.
The sunset?
Certainly. Half the married men you meet began by talking about the sunset.
But what can I say about the sunset?
Well, Jeeves got off a good one the other day. I met him airing the dog in the park one evening, and he said, "Now fades the glimmering landscape on sight, sir, and all the air a solemn stillness holds." You might use that.
What sort of landscape?
Glimmering. G for gastritis, L for lizard.
Oh, glimmering. Yes, that's not bad. Glimmering landscape, solemn stillness. Yes, I call that pretty good.
You could then say that you have often thought that the stars are God's daisy chain.
But I haven't.
I dare say not. But she has. Hand her that one, and I don't see how she can help feeling that you are a twin soul.
God's daisy chain.
God's daisy chain. And then you go on about how twilight always makes you sad. I know you're going to say it doesn't, but on this occasion it has jolly well got to.
Why?
That's just what she will ask, and you will then have got her going, because you will reply that it is because yours is such a lonely life. It wouldn't be a bad idea to give her a brief description of a typical home evening at your Lincolnshire residence, showing how you pace the meadows with a heavy tread.
I generally sit indoors and listen to the wireless.
No, you don't. You pace the meadows with a heavy tread, wishing that you had someone to love you. And then you speak of the day when she came into your life.
Like a fairy princess.
Absolutely, I said with an approval. I hadn't expected such a hot one from such a quarter. Like a fairy princess. Nice work, Gussie.
And then?
Well, after that it's easy. You say you have something you want to say to her, and then you snap into it. I don't see how it can fail. If I were you, I should do it in this rose garden. It is well established that there is no sounder move than to steer the adored object into rose gardens, in the gloaming. And you had better have a couple of quick ones first.
Quick ones?
Snifters.
Drinks, do you mean? But I don't drink.
What?
I've never touched a drop in my life.
This made me a bit dubious, I must confess. On these occasions it's generally conceded that a moderate skinful is of the essence. However, if the facts were as he had stated, I suppose there was nothing to be done about it. Well, You'll have to make out as best you can on ginger pop.
I always drink orange juice.
Orange juice, then. Tell me, Gussie, to settle a bet, do you really like that mark?
Oh, very much.
Then there's no more to be said. Now, let's just have a run-through to see that you've got the layout straight. Start off with the glimmering landscape.
Stars, God's daisy chain.
Twilight makes you feel sad?
Because mine lonely life.
Describe life.
I talk about the day I met her.
Oh, add the fairy princess gag. Say there's something you want to say to her. Heave a couple of sighs, grab her hand, and give her the works. Right. And confident that he had grasped the scenario and that everything might now be expected to proceed through the proper channels, I picked up the feet and hastened back to the house. It's going to catch up with chat here real fast. Oh yeah, the Think Noddle, he's such a wobbly character. He's like, yeah. Man, oh man. Oh boy, oh boy. Ooh, we just have a little sip of the old water here. It's a little tricky keeping all this jazz going. Yeah. Yeah. Get one of those bad boys going. All right. Let us continue. Where are we at? Oh, we'll get back to our story in just one moment. Just one moment. There. Okay. The new layout. Okay, so the new layout for Mixer is now live. Okay. Very good. Okay. Very good. Very good. Very good. Right. I like that. Okay. You're watching me and GameStack at the same time. Oh, yeah. I'm going to have to catch up with that a little bit later. Yeah, I see the dude. Yeah, he's featured on the front right now. Well, at least for me. Well, here's the thing. With the new Mixer thing, it might be a very different layout for for other people. Yeah, because it's all through recommendations now in AI. And Ninja Nick is back. Good gracious. Managed to wrestle control away from your cousin. Interesting. All right. Good to see you again, Ninja Nick. We're still going for about another 30 minutes, I'd say. We're going to finish this chapter and end with a little short story elsewhere. Okay. And confident that he had grasped the scenario and that everything might now be expected to proceed through the proper channels, I picked up the feet and hastened back to the house. It was not until I had reached the drawing room and was enabled to take a square look at the Bassett that I found the debonair gaiety with which I had embarked upon this affair beginning to wane a trifle. Beholding her at close range like this, I suddenly became cognizant of what I was in for. The thought of strolling with this rummy specimen undeniably gave me a most unpleasant sinking feeling. I could not but remember how often, when in her company at Cannes, I had gazed dumbly at her, wishing that some kindly motorist in a racing car would ease the situation by coming along and ramming her amidships. As I have already made abundantly clear, this girl was not one of my most congenial buddies. However, a Wooster's word is his bond. Woosters may quail, but they do not edge out. Only the keenest ear could have detected the tremor in the voice as I asked her if she would care to come out for half an hour. "A lovely evening," I said. "Yes." No, that's the aunt. "Yes, lovely, isn't it?" "Lovely. Reminds me of Cannes." "How lovely the evenings were there." "Lovely," I said. "Lovely," said the Bassett. "Lovely," I agreed. That contemplated the weather and news bulletin for the French Riviera. Another minute, and we were out in the great open spaces, she cooing a bit about the scenery, and self-replying, "Oh, rather, quite," and wondering how best to approach the matter in hand. There we go. And that is as far as we are going with Righto Jeeves today. It's so goofy, and it's so quintessentially British. It's great. I love it. I love it. Alrighty. But there we go. That's as far as we can go with that. For those who might have caught just a little bit of the stream, yes, hi there. Mainstream right here on Mixer. This week, just because there's a lot of people, I think, with a little spare time on their hands, maybe working from home, schools closed down. Sending a little restream out to YouTube and to Twitch as well, which I don't normally do, but just in case there's, I don't know, someone just looking for something light-hearted and entertaining, I hope we can bring a little bit of happiness to you all, including on other platforms for this week. You love the creative, the creative in there, they're so... You really have to like think about a lot of them. It's really, really quite funny. Really quite. It's just very, very, very tongue-in-cheek and the like. But that's as far as we can go with that right now. Because yeah, 2 hours of that is pretty rough. We are going to wind down with a short story though. A short story. I'm just going to find one. But what I meant to say was also that everything we do here is in the public domain. Which means if you've just caught a little bit of the stream, if you want to read it for yourself, get a copy of yourself, you can get a free digital download. From pretty much any online legit archive there. Most times you can get it from the Amazon Kindle store as well, which is handy if you use their Kindle software to read it. Sometimes Amazon will charge money though for digital downloads of public domain material. If that happens, don't get it. Gutenberg.org is another great resource. Feedbooks.com is another one. I should do something with a rural American accent, Twain or something. Oh man, when we did So Big, it was too much. It was overwhelming. But you know what? That would be good practice. It would be very good practice, actually. As soon as I can find I've lost my CDs. I need to convert them into MP3s just so I can my accent training stuff, accent training CDs. Yeah. Well, it would be good. It would be good. Anyway, that is. I'm trying to see. Okay, it looks like the new. Okay, so the front page of Mixer has the new cache for that is out. It looks like the new actual page though for the stream is not out yet. The one with the bells on it. The ones with the bells on it is not there. Anyway, let me post that link again for those who may have missed it. Brand new. Okay, this is the stuff is unloading this week, right now. This is all coming out right now and next week. On Mixer, a bunch of improvements to the Xbox console Mixer experience, which is great. New Mixer homepage, so now it's not put in by hands. It is not manually programmed anymore the hard way. Now it gives like recommendations based on channels that you've watched, people that you follow. Hopefully you'll be seeing and being shown more things that you like. Everyone should now have access to auto hosting. So if you have a favorite stream, like maybe it's this one. I don't know. If you wanted to add streams like that to an auto-host list of your own, you can do that. You probably should. Emotes have been increased from 24 pixels to 28 pixels across all platforms, which is that's nice. That's actually, it sounds like it's just 4 pixels, but it's much more than 4 pixels. It's going to be nicely sized. I got to redo some of mine actually. Something about ad breaks. I'm not sure how that's working. I don't see how that works. partner badges here and there, and next to the following thing there should be a little bell for notifications. Let me open up someone. I'm just going to take a quick look at a channel I follow who's offline. We're gonna do one more short story. One more short story before we get to the end of this. 1 second. Here we go. So I got like Arcanaut. Here we go. Oh yeah. So that notification bell is right there. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's rare. It could happen, obviously.
Okay, let's just close that. Okay, so that is here as well. Ninja Nick is on the Xbox. Nice. Well, there's some nice upgrades coming for you. You should now be seeing the smileys and emojis should now be working, which is great. Little like these things here should now be showing up here instead of the text for them. You should see the little Mr. C thing there popping up. Partner badges should be showing up. Access to clips. Next to the follow button, the following button, should be the little notification bell. So now you can double check and make sure that you know, if that's a channel you want to get notifications for, that you get them. I hope you'll turn my one on. New upgrades to the iOS and Android mixer apps now. Yeah, but yeah, that was I posted the link in there. If you want to read up on that, you can do so. And Ninja Nick hooking us up with our host. I like that. Doctors just recalled you. It's going to be 5 to 6 months. Wow. Oh boy. Yeah. Well. Yeah. Yep. This whole situation here is definitely throwing that whole medical system for a bit of a loop right now. I'm really sorry to hear that, Scorpion Knights. I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah. Yep, things are gonna be tricky for a bit. We're just gonna end on one of my favorite short stories by what's his face? Where is it? By H.P. Lovecraft. I'm gonna do that just because it's a pretty cool story. Let me just change the book name here real fast. We've read this one before. It's about a 20-minute short story. Very good. It's very intense. Just changing our thing here. By HP. Alright, and this is going to be our last story of the day. We'll be back later tonight with some gaming. Might even start a little earlier because there's nothing happening around here. There's nothing. I've had no work, no in-person meetings, no auditions, no nothing for about 3 weeks now. Oh boy. It sucks, but they're clearing. Yes, it does indeed gonna suck, and it's gonna suck for a bit. And it would have been nice if well, let's not speculate. You've been waiting for 2 years already. That's a long time. Yeah, I remember it seems to be kind of a tricky kind of thing you've got there, Scorpion Knights. Yeah, oh boy, it'd just be nice to get it over and done with. Alrighty. So let's see. Yeah, so let's see. Last night was Halo night. Tonight, we'll probably do. I don't know what are we gonna do. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Probably something story related. Maybe start up a new Telltale game or something like that. Do an episode from that. We've got a new Batman one to start. Maybe some Neo Crow. Maybe an RPG. Maybe work on an RPG for a bit. Okay, Full cybernetic, yeah. Okay, it's sad. This is near the end. It's okay. It's okay, Ninja Nick. Oh, by the way, for those who don't know, by the way, I read books Monday through Thursday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. That's when I start, and we usually go for about two and a half hours, something like that. On Sundays, we have Short Story Sunday, when that starts a bit later at 2 p.m. Pacific, and that's the day that we read just short stories and poems. And if you are a creative writer, I'm certainly more than willing to read what you got. But here we go. Here we go. Let's do it. We're going to end with a spooky story. This one's a spooky one by H.P. Lovecraft. H.P. Lovecraft. It's good. I hope you're going to like it. But this is going to be it. We're going to have a good time with it. A good time with it. If you're watching on Twitch or YouTube, I do invite you to come visit us over here on Mixer, mixer.com/CarringtonTV. And because that's where the main stuff happens. Have I played Fortnite? Yeah, I played Fortnite. Yeah, actually, I got last Saturday. I got a single person victory royale for the very first time. Yeah, not bad, not too shabby. Is that your favorite game there, Ninja Nick? Oh wow, everything got super bright in here all of a sudden. One second, let me just adjust my webcam because my forehead's just like, ugh. Forehead's all blowing out. You can see how little hair I have left up there now. All right, there we go. Something like that. There we go. Yeah, it's a little better. Let's do it. Let's read a story. Let's get a little spooked. Get a little spooked. If you are on if you are watching via Twitch or via YouTube right now, yeah, I'm just normally I don't stream over there. It's just with everything that's going on, I just wanted to spread a little entertainment and levity as in as wide a net as we can, because we all need a little cheering up these days. So, but yeah, you're more than welcome to come join us over here on Mixer, mixer.com/CarringtonTV. That's where all my gaming stuff happens as well. It's where the book club is like almost a daily kind of thing, 5 days a week, Monday through Thursday for the novels, Sundays, short stories. And we generally have a good time with it. Generally just have a good time with it. Turn off the lights and do it under the chin. I can't. That's actually a big window right in front of me, which is, and the sun's just come out a bit, which is why everything got super bright. But that would, I need to figure out some kind of thing like that for movie nights, actually. Oh yeah. By the way, the movie we're doing this Sunday is Cosmos: War of the Planets. Just in case anyone was wondering. Stunted Blunt, what's going on? Stunted Blunt. Thank you for the follow. This is it. This is our last story. This is our last story for the day, though. We'll continue with Jeeves and Wooster tomorrow, 10 a.m. Pacific. Such a droll story. Such a droll one. Screen green turtleneck. Do the floating hair. I it kind of worked out on a Halloween thing we did last year, actually. Kind of, but that was just because of bad lighting. We had construction going on, so I was in a different area. All right, let's get on with it. The horror at Martin's Beach. I have never heard an even approximately adequate explanation of the horror at Martin's Beach. Despite the large number of witnesses, no two accounts agree, and the testimony taken by local authorities contains the most amazing discrepancies. Perhaps this haziness is natural in view of the unheard-of character of the horror itself, the almost paralytic terror of all who saw it, and the efforts made by the fashionable Wavecrest Inn to hush it up. After the publicity created by Professor Alton's article, Are Hypnotic Powers Confined to Recognized Humanity? Against all these obstacles, I am striving to present a coherent version. for I beheld the hideous occurrence, and believe it should be known in view of the appalling possibilities it suggests. Martin's Beach is once more popular as a watering place, but I shudder when I think of it. Indeed, I cannot look at the ocean at all now without shuddering. Fate is not always without a sense of drama and climax. Hence the terrible happening of August 8, 1922. Swiftly followed a period of minor and agreeably wonder-fraught excitement at Martin's Beach. On May 17, the crew of the fishing smack Alma of Gloucester, under Captain James P. Orner, killed, after a battle of nearly 40 hours, a marine monster whose size and aspect produced the greatest possible stir in scientific circles, and caused certain Boston naturalists to take every precaution for its taxidermic preservation. The object was some 50 feet in length, of roughly cylindrical shape and about 10 feet in diameter. It was unmistakably a gilled fish in its major affiliations, but with certain curious modifications, such as rudimentary forelegs and 6-toed feet in place of pectoral fins, which prompted the widest speculation. Its extraordinary mouth, its thick and scaly hide, and its single deep-set eye were wonders scarcely less remarkable than its colossal dimensions, and when the naturalists pronounced it an infant organism, which could not have been hatched more than a few days, public interest mounted to extraordinary heights. Captain Orner, with typical Yankee shrewdness, obtained a vessel large enough to hold the object in its hull, and arranged for the exhibition of his prize. With judicious carpentry he prepared what amounted to an excellent marine museum, and sailing south to the wealthy resort district of Martin's Beach, anchored at the hotel wharf, and reaped a harvest of admission fees. The intrinsic marvelousness of the object, and the importance which it clearly bore in the minds of many scientific visitors from near and far, combined to make it the season's sensation. That it was absolutely unique to a scientifically revolutionary degree, was well understood. The naturalists had shown plainly that it radically differed from the similarly immense fish caught off the Florida coast, that while it was obviously an inhabitant of almost incredible depths, perhaps thousands of feet, its brain and principal organs indicated a development startlingly vast, and out of all proportion to anything hitherto associated with the fish tribe. On the morning of July 20, the sensation was increased by the loss of the vessel and its strange treasure. In the storm of the preceding night it had broken from its moorings and vanished forever from the sight of man, carrying with it the guard who had slept aboard despite the threatening weather. Captain Orner, backed by extensive scientific interests and aided by large numbers of fishing boats from Gloucester, made a thorough and exhaustive searching cruise, but with no result other than the prompting of interest and conversation. By August 7, hope was abandoned, and Captain Orner had returned to the Wavecrest Inn to wind up his business affairs at Martin's Beach, and confer with certain of the scientific men who remained there. The horror came on August 8. What's up there, Brian? It was in the twilight, when gray seabirds hovered low near the shore, and a rising moon began to make a glittering path across the waters, good morning or gone. The scene is important to remember, for every impression counts. On the beach were several strollers and a few late bathers, stragglers from the distant cottage colony that rose modestly on a green hill to the north, or from the adjacent cliff-perched inn whose imposing towers proclaimed its allegiance to wealth and grandeur. Well within viewing distance was another set of spectators, the loungers on the inn's high-ceiled and lantern-lighted veranda, who appeared to be enjoying the dance music from the sumptuous ballroom inside. These spectators, who included Captain Orner and his group of scientific confrères, joined the beach group before the horror progressed far, as did many more from the inn. Certainly there was no lack of witnesses, confused though their stories be with fear and doubt of what they saw. There is no exact record of the time the thing began, although a majority say that the fairly round moon was about a foot above the low-lying vapors of the horizon. They mentioned the moon because what they saw seemed subtly connected with it, a sort of stealthy, deliberate, menacing ripple, which rolled in from the far skyline along the shimmering lane of reflected moonbeams, yet which seemed to subside before it reached the shore. Many did not notice this ripple until reminded by later events, but it seems to have been very marked, differing in height and motion from the normal waves around it. Some called it cunning and calculating, and as it died away craftily by the black reefs afar out, there suddenly came belching up out of the glitter-streaked brine a cry of death, a scream of anguish and despair that moved pity, even while it mocked it. First to respond to the cry were the two lifeguards then on duty, sturdy fellows in white bathing attire, with their calling proclaimed in large red letters across their chests. Accustomed as they were to rescue work and to the screams of the drowning, they could find nothing familiar in the unearthly ululation. Yet, with a trained sense of duty, they ignored the strangeness and proceeded to follow their usual course. Hastily seizing an air cushion, which with its attached coil of rope lay always at hand, one of them ran swiftly along the shore to the scene of the gathering crowd, whence, after whirling it about to gain momentum, he flung the hollow disc far out in the direction from which the sound had come. As the cushion disappeared in the waves, the crowd curiously awaited a sight of the hapless being whose distress had been so great, eager to see the rescue made by the massive rope. But that rescue was soon acknowledged to be no swift and easy matter, for, pull as they might on the rope, the two muscular guards could not move the object at the other end. Instead, they found that object pulling with equal or even greater force in the very opposite direction, till in a few seconds they were dragged off their feet and into the water by the strange power which had seized on the proffered life-preserver. One of them, recovering himself, called immediately for help from the crowd on the shore, to whom he flung the remaining coil of rope. And in a moment the guards were seconded by all the hardier men, among whom Captain Orner was foremost. More than a dozen strong hands were now tugging desperately at the stout line, yet wholly without avail. Hard as they tugged, the strange force at the other end tugged harder. And since neither side relaxed for an instant, the rope became rigid as steel with the enormous strain. The struggling participants, as well as the spectators, were by this time consumed with curiosity as to the nature of the force in the sea. The idea of a drowning man had long been dismissed, and hints of whales, submarines, monsters, and demons now passed freely around. Where humanity had first led the rescuers, wonder kept them at their task, and they hauled with a grim determination to uncover the mystery. It being decided at last that a whale must have swallowed the air cushion, Captain Orner, as a natural leader, shouted to those on the shore that a boat must be obtained in order to approach, harpoon, and land the unseen Leviathan. Several men at once prepared to scatter in quest of a suitable craft, while others came to supplant the captain at the straining rope, since his place was logically with whatever boat party might be formed. His own idea of the situation was very broad, and by no means limited to whales, since he had to do it with a monster so much stronger. He wondered what might be the acts and manifestations of an adult of the species, of which the 50-foot creature had been the merest infant. What's up there, Mr. Nequad? It's spring, I'm not a teacher. And now there developed with appalling suddenness the crucial fact which changed the entire scene from one of wonder to one of horror. And dazed with fright, the assembled band of toilers and onlookers. Captain Orner, turning to leave his post at the rope, found his hands held in their place with unaccountable strength, and in a moment he realized that he was unable to let go of the rope. His plight was instantly divined, and as each companion tested his own situation, the same condition was encountered. The fact could not be denied. Every struggler was irresistibly held in some mysterious bondage to the hempen line, which was slowly, hideously, and relentlessly pulling them out to sea. We'll catch you later there, Tillable Cat. Always nice to have you spend some time with us. Hope you've enjoyed book club today. Speechless horror ensued. A horror in which the spectators were petrified to utter inaction and mental chaos. Their complete demoralization is reflected in the conflicting accounts they give and the sheepish excuses they offer for their seemingly callous inertia. I was one of them, and no. Even the strugglers, after a few frantic screams and futile groans, succumbed to the paralyzing influence and kept silent and fatalistic in the face of unknown powers. There they stood, in the pallid moonlight, blindly pulling against a spectral doom, and swaying monotonously backward and forward as the water rose, first to their knees, then to their hips. The moon went partly under a cloud, and in the half-light the line of swaying men resembled some sinister and gigantic centipede, writhing in the clutch of a terrible, creeping death. Harder and harder grew the rope as the tug in both directions increased, and the strands swelled with the undisturbed soaking of the rising waves. Slowly the tide advanced, till the sands, so lately peopled by laughing children and whispering lovers, were now swallowed by the inexorable flow. The herd of panic-stricken watchers surged blindly backward as the water crept above their feet, while the frightful line of strugglers swayed hideously on, half submerged, and now at a substantial distance from their audience. Silence was complete. The crowd, having gained a huddling place beyond reach of the tide, stared in mute fascination, without offering a word of advice or encouragement, or attempting any kind of assistance. There was in the air a nightmare fear of impending evils, such as the world had never before known. All right, catch you later there, Ninja Nick. Minutes seemed lengthened into hours, and still that human snake of swaying torsos was seen above the fast-rising tide. Rhythmically it undulated, slowly, horribly, with the seal of doom upon it. Thicker clouds now passed over the ascending moon, and the glittering path on the waters faded nearly out. Very dimly writhed the serpentine line of nodding heads, with now and then the livid face of a backward-glancing victim gleaming pale in the darkness. Faster and faster gathered the clouds, till at length their angry rifts shot down sharp tongues of febrile flame. Thunders rolled, softly at first, yet soon increasing to a deafening, maddening intensity. Then came a culminating crash, a shock whose reverberations seemed to shake land and sea alike. And on its heels a cloudburst whose drenching violence overpowered the darkened world, as if the heavens themselves had opened to pour forth a vindictive torrent. The spectators, instinctively acting despite the absence of conscious and coherent thought, now retreated up the cliff steps to the hotel veranda. Rumors had reached the guests inside, so that the refugees found a state of terror nearly equal to their own. I think a few frightened words were uttered, but cannot be sure. Some who were staying at the inn retired in terror to their rooms, while others remained to watch the fast-sinking victims as the line of bobbing heads showed above the mounting waves in the fitful lightning flashes. I recall thinking of those heads, and the bulging eyes they must contain, eyes that might well reflect all the fright, panic, and delirium of a malignant universe. All the sorrow, sin, and misery, blasted hopes and unfulfilled desires, fear, loathing, and anguish of the ages since time's beginning, eyes alight with all the soul-racking pain of eternally blazing infernos. And as I gazed out beyond the heads, my fancy conjured up still another eye. A single eye, equally alight, yet with a purpose so revolting to my brain that the vision soon passed. Held in the clutches of an unknown vice, the line of the damned dragged on, their silent screams and unuttered prayers known only to the demons of the black waves and the night wind. There now burst from the infuriate sky such a mad cataclysm of satanic sound that even the former crash seemed dwarfed. Amidst a blinding glare of descending fire, the voice of heaven resounded with the blasphemies of hell, and the mingled agony of all the lost reverberated in one apocalyptic, planet-rending peal of cyclopean din. It was the end of the storm. For with uncanny suddenness, the rain ceased, and the moon once more cast her pallid beams on a strangely quieted sea. There was no line of bobbing heads now. The waters were calm and deserted, and broken only by the fading ripples of what seemed to be a whirlpool far out in the path of the moonlight, whence the strange cry had first come. But as I looked along that treacherous lane of silvery sheen, with fancy fevered and senses overwrought, there trickled upon my ears from some abysmal sunken waste the faint and sinister echoes of a laugh. And that, my friends, brings us to the end of Book Club. And there we go. Alrighty. Yeah, that was okay. That was okay. I like that one. Yeah. Gonna wind down our day right here. Let me just quickly find, we're gonna find someone in creative. This is creative right here. Here we go. Well, I hope you all enjoyed that little spooky way to end the day. That's one of my favorite Lovecraft bits right there. Yeah. I'm going to be ending the stream here. Thank you. I'm not sure if we had anyone watching on Twitch or YouTube at all. That's okay. I mean, I generally don't stream there because no one really watches over there. I've just had the most success here on Mixer for some bizarre reason. Don't know why. People tune in here to hear a little reading. Let's take a look at our. What is this? Let's see. What is I don't know what they're doing. Don't know what any of these people are doing. All right, let's try. What's this one? One copy of Adam. I don't know. I have no idea who that is. Craft Crossing. I guess they're getting ready for Animal Crossing this week or something. I don't know. Maybe. We'll just mute that for a second. But yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're going to pass things on over to Harlan. Yeah. Anyway, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for the new follows. We had some members earlier today, too. Thank you for those. I like them a lot. Don't forget, new upgrades were being rolled out today on Mixer. So you can keep an eye on them. One of the big upgrades there, too, is the notification bell next to the following tab. So if you're in doubt as to whether or not you are following, or you want notifications from particular streamers, make sure you toggle that on or off as is appropriate for you. And it makes it very easy to see now, so that's going to be very good. I hope that works. Auto host basically rolling out to pretty much everyone. A bunch of improvements to the Xbox console Mixer experience, and just a ton of more stuff. I'm very excited about that. But that's it. That is it. We are done. We are out of here. We're cooked like a turkey. Thank you for spending some time with us. I will be... that's right. Now the sun's come out after that big storm. Indeed. But yeah, and if once again, if you were watching on Twitch or on YouTube, we do invite you to come on over here to mixer.com/CarringtonTV. I'm just going to be restreaming for a week, maybe two, until, until things quiet down a little bit in that IRL world. I think everyone can use a little levity right now. So and that's why I'm doing that. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, everything happens over here on Mixer. So if you are liking what you see, come on by mixer.com/CarringtonTV. And that's it. That is it. I tell you what, let's roll some credits. Do a little of that there, see what's going on with that. Roll credits. Take a little look at who's been doing what today. Yeah. We got, let's take a quick peek. You are the best. You are the best because you're choosing to spend a little time here and be entertained. Top chatters. Halo Collector. Halo Collector. He's probably got some... He didn't spill any secret Halo news today there. Tillable Cat, OG Rainbow, Ninja Nick was quite the yapper on the Xbox console. Scorpion Knights, yeah. I hope I hope your medical thing gets sorted out fast. Oh boy, it's going to be rough. Metal Guru was popped in here. I must have missed that one. I don't think I said hi to. Well, hello there, Metal Guru, if you're still with us. My apologies for missing you earlier. Tillable Cat with some embers, thank you. And look at all this, a bunch of more sparks starting off the new round from Oregon, Ninja Nick, Tillable Cat, OG Rainbow, Metal Guru, Scorpion Knights, Brian GG. Nice, Random 777 and Tallish Birch. Top sticker. Okay, now the counters are working again. For some reason, those sticker counters were not working last night. The emojis are not working. Now the emoji counter's broken. All right. Okay, that's not working properly. Not working properly. But there we go. That's it. We are out of here. And thank you of course, for all of the hosts there. If anyone wants to test out that new auto host function on Mixer, you are most welcome to add me to that. And we'll be back later tonight. BWH, we're just leaving. We're just leaving, BWH. Are you just getting here? No. It's been a good one, though. 2 hours and 45 minutes. A bit longer than we normally do it. But we've got some good stories in there. You can probably check the VOD a little later. But anyway, good to see you, BWH, even though... but yeah, I will be back later tonight. We're going to get a bunch of gaming in. Maybe even start that a little earlier, because there's really not a lot happening anywhere right now. Maybe, sure, put in a little stream time. Oh, you've been here for the whole stream. Oh, okay, all right, okay. Did you say hi earlier? I think I might have missed it if you did. My apologies if that was the case. Yeah. Alrighty. There we go. Tallish Birch throwing down. Yeah, that's right. King Carrington. I am the king. I am the king. All right, but here we go. We're going from one family-friendly stream to another in the creative, because, yeah, that's what we're doing. We're going to pass it off to creative. I have no idea who this person is. I have no idea if they're any good. All I know is that they're in creative and they have and their rating is green. So that's where we're headed. Have a great day, everyone. Have an awesome day, and we'll see you later tonight. Yeah. All right, BWH is just quiet. All right. Well, it was great having you with us. And yep, thank you, Halo Collector, too. He's been with us all day as well. So is the OG Rainbow. Putting in some time. Chillable Cat just left him go. There we go, just getting rid of some coronavirus here. All right, okay, I'm out of here.